Welcome to a brand new episode of the Real Life Podcast, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts and delivered by DoorDash.
Welcome to Real Life, everyone.
What is going on right now?
I think that I'm in love with Matthew Tkachuk.
Are you guys all drunk?
Welcome in. It's episode 368 of the Real Life Podcast. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. This podcast is brought to you by the HGA Group. The usual cast of characters is not quite here, but it is myself, Bag Milk, and Chris Chalmers. Hello.
Chalmers, welcome back.
Yeah.
We missed you, pal.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Yeah, it feels good to have you back on the pod. I heard that in order to make up for the fact that you've missed so many podcast appearances, that Cowboy Chris needs to be ready and at our disposal all playoff run.
That's the rumor, yeah.
He'll be there. I made a deal behind closed doors with JR. I felt really bad that I've been so unable to make it lately. So yes, we will get Cowboy. Hopefully he has a better showing than he did last year, because we didn't do so good when he was around last year.
Well, that was like Oilers Nation Radio Chalmers. Last year during the playoffs, we're going to do 2 episodes a week during the entirety of the playoffs. We did 1 bonus episode and that was it. So nobody did that last year.
That's all you had time for. You know, it was a quick run last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Hopefully this year's better.
Yeah. How we feeling right now? I mean, you got to be happy right now, aren't we?
Well, I mean, the situation is good. You're 4 up on the LA Kings with a game in hand, so you could very well be 6 up if you take care of business in the game in hand. You're 6 up on the Vegas Golden Knights. It's looking okay. The thing that concerns me, and this was a big segment today on the Daily Faceoff show, I'm actually concerned Vegas is going to get in over LA, and I would rather play the LA Kings than the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas scares me if they're healthy. You know?
Yeah, yes, I agree with you. And it is looking like it could be a Vegas Edmonton round 1. I've already had a friend this morning basically message just that, saying, book it. It's going to happen. And so
it's also annoying because Vegas could just have 2 of their best players. Is it still 2, Tyler? Come back off the LTIR right when the playoffs start.
Well, yeah, they got Leonard back and they got Martinez back, but they still have Mark Stone sitting on long-term injured reserve, and they still have Riley Smith on LTIR. They're going to get both those guys back, and it's going to feel incredibly unfair for the Oilers. I still think they could beat Vegas. I don't think Vegas is a perfect team, and they've been wildly inconsistent. But I just look at that and I'd go, I'd rather play the LA Kings. The nice part for Edmonton is LA has a much better schedule than the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas has 8 games left this season. 7 of them are against non-playoff teams. Vegas has 9 games left this year. Only 4 of them are against non-playoff teams. So LA has a much easier schedule than, even compared to Edmonton, they have a much easier schedule. So it's I still think second in the division is is going to be theirs. I just hope it's against LA in round 1.
I'm still at a point though. I got to say, I don't care. Just get into the dance, and you never know what happens, because once you get to the postseason, whatever happened in the regular season don't matter.
Yep.
Don't mean shit.
That's fair.
We saw it last year against Winnipeg. Oilers absolutely dominated Winnipeg in the regular season. When the playoffs came around, as far as I know, the playoffs didn't actually start last year. So all I'm saying is just get in. Got to get in.
Yep. So when it comes down to it, is it okay, the playoffs in the conference, how does it work again? 8-1?
No.
How does it reseed? I never remember. I swear to God, I never remember this.
So you stay in your division for the first 2 rounds, really, or in a way, right? So right now, Minnesota and St. Louis are 2nd and 3rd in the Central, so they play each other. Edmonton and LA are 2nd and 3rd in the Pacific, so they play each other. Where it gets confusing is the number 1 seeds, because the number 1 seeds will play the wild card teams. So Colorado is the highest ranked 1 seed between them and Calgary. They would get number 2 in the wild card race, which is Dallas, and Calgary would get Nashville. Let's say that Vegas were to overtake Dallas and be in that 2nd wild card spot. A lot of people would think, oh, well, then Calgary just plays Vegas, 1 versus 4 in the division. But that would not be the case. Calgary would still get Nashville, and Vegas would actually cross over to go play the Colorado Avalanche in that scenario.
I'm confused.
Very confusing. It's
yeah, it is confusing.
And there's no reseeding after round 1 either. So let's say Edmonton were to win and Nashville were to beat Calgary. Edmonton would play Nashville in round 2, even if a team like Vegas advanced.
And so right now, Vegas has 78 points and Dallas only has 77.
Vegas has 84. Dallas has 86.
Why is this not refreshing to the right day? Annoying.
But yeah, Vegas is 2 back of Dallas. Dallas has a game in hand on them, though. Vegas is 2 back of LA. Vegas has the game in hand on LA. And Vegas owns the tiebreakers over LA as well. Edmonton owns the tiebreakers over both Vegas and LA, which is important. And
you think we get to 100 points?
14 points 10 points in your last 9 games. Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll go like
points,
5 and 4.
10 points. Yeah. 9 games. That's very doable.
If they play the way they did against Colorado on Saturday, they will. I mean, I know it was a 2-1 loss in the shootout, but fuck, the Oilers played well. You know, sometimes you got to give some love to Darcy Kemper for standing on his head. No.
Yeah. I thought the Oilers played, they kept up with Colorado, and that's the second time now they've brought the Avs to OT and
they did the same thing against Tampa. So they're stepping up.
They do have a tendency to play up to their opponents. That was a fun game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was kind of a moment where I said this, this goes one of 2 ways, right? We get kind of beat down and, the playoff picture kind of, you're still happy that you made the playoffs, let's say, but you're kind of a little skeptical about how they're going to do, or they really take it to Colorado and we either win or we have a game like we did Saturday and you think, okay, we have some real, there's some real possibilities here for the playoffs. And so to see them do that against the Avs, I was very, very happy. But I really want them to close these 9 games out. I mean, the Wild, the Predators, then the Golden Knights, Dallas, Avalanche, Blue Jackets, Penguins, Sharks, Canucks. 7 of those games are playoff games. 7 of those games are legit high intensity playoff games. And if they look like they did against Colorado for all 7 of those, we got us a real possibility, boys.
At least they're playing their best hockey at the right time of year, because you could be a team like LA that's seemingly going the other way. They got absolutely dummied by the Wild the other day.
Yeah, fuck, that was rough. Just because this is on brand, reports out of Vegas, Mark Stone could play tomorrow in Vancouver, which would be very complicated for their salary cap situation, but he's clearly close, clearly would play if they made the playoffs.
So how did they make this work if he's going to play tomorrow? It doesn't make any sense to me. Are they getting rid of, how do you clear $9 million worth of players by tomorrow?
I honestly have no idea. They would probably be sending down a handful of players. Maybe they have another injury that they're not telling us about a guy would go back on LTIR for a little bit. I straight up do not know how they would make it work. No clue. Couldn't tell you. They had 3 players who didn't travel with them, but none of them make very much money. So I honestly don't know how they make it work. You'll like this though, Bag Milk. The crowd on Saturday at the Oilers game was bananas. It was loud. It was pretty drunk. At one point, I'm walking on the concourse and this guy comes right up to me, finger out. And he goes, "You're fucking Bag Milk." And I was like, "Nah, man."
Nailed it.
I was like, I'm not Bag Milk. Sorry. And he goes, "Nah, you are. I know you." Okay.
Well,
sure.
Well, let's say you are. Let's build a little bit of illusion here. Let's get the mystery going a couple of different ways. Yeah, we do 3 podcasts together a week, but you could be disguising your voice in some kind of ventriloquist situation.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, no one would know if I'm actually just doing both of the voices and I'm actually bagging milk.
Well, people know who you are because I'm not going to lie to you. I got way too many screenshots of the 1 second that you were on TV the other day. So I think people know who you are. It was very entertaining.
Tyler, that was what, 3rd period, probably?
Late.
Tyler shows up on the TV for 2 seconds and instantly the nation's messages, my messages, they're all like, Tyler's on TV. And then just the screenshots of you cheering and having a good time were everywhere.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to watch how my phone blew up. And then I also, when I was on the concourse in the second intermission, they do these little cheer videos before every period. So the guy with the camera came up to me and my group of friends and he was like, "Hey, you're Chuck. I want to video you guys for the Jumbotron." So there's also a video of me in my nation gear from the Jumbotron, pointing at my hat, yelling, "Cover the puck line" on the big screen.
Well, we did not cover the puck line.
No, the Oilers did not cover the puck line. But yeah, no, it was pretty funny to see the way my phone kind of blew up and all of that stuff.
How does it make you feel about being more and more famous here in Edmonton?
I had probably there were probably 3 or 4 people that just like walked up to me on the concourse and would just be like, "Hey, you're M Chuck," like, "Fuck, blah, blah, blah." And I'd be like, "Oh, hello." I always feel awkward. I never know if I should start a conversation or if I should just be like, "See ya."
Well, that's what I was going to ask about, because you're living my literal fucking nightmare.
The good thing about it is you could have the 1 second on TV that JR did where it didn't look good. He was in a Flames,
cheering for a goal.
Building, cheering for the Flames goal. But your 1 minute was actually, I would have to say, if you could script it, if you were going to know you were on TV, the perfect thing. One hand in the air, one hand on a beer, looking happy as all hell with your Nation gear on. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better 1 second.
What was the BPP there? Because I saw it was a 2/3 empty
full.
beer.
Yeah, it was pretty full.
So obviously Saturday night, myself, my girlfriend, my sister, and my brother-in-law all had tickets. So we went for a little. My sister made dinner before, so went to their house, few drinks. Went to the Ford Hall hockey thing, walked under the derrick, had a couple more.
So what do we got there? We got $5 beers out there before the game or what?
$6 cans of Coors, but all other beers are $12. And I just thought it was straight up $6 beers still. So I went and I bought everyone a round of beers. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a nice, reasonable round to buy everyone. Then I looked, I'm like, oh, no, it was not. I didn't get a single can of Coors. I just got draft beers and it was expensive. Just same prices in the rink. But yeah, so we sucked back a few before the game. So I was probably 5 or 6 deep before puck drop, and then won a period. It would be 1.5 period, because I was doing 1 in the period, 1 in the intermission, 1 in the period, 1 in the intermission. So when I was on TV, I was pretty buckled, and you could tell Amber's buckled too, because she usually doesn't stand up a lot at games, and she's right next to me in that 1 second, standing up, yelling too. And I thought that was funny.
You were feeling festive on the BCast post game and the car ride home.
Like I said, I was rather intoxicated, and I hope it didn't come through too drunk. I think I held it together, right?
Yeah, you did fine. I wouldn't have known. I would have given you maybe a 5 out of 10, that's casual. Yeah, no, I was definitely lit up. And then Amber and I got back home. We didn't do anything after the game, out, we didn't go out, but we're addicted to this Mario golf game for our Nintendo Switch. We played 30 hours of it in the last 2 months. And so we sat at home and drank till 2 a.m. and played Super Mario on the Switch. So that was my Saturday night. It was a wild one for sure. Sometimes you gotta. How were people on the Bcast after my hit? Fan base reacting well to that loss, or was there frustration? Nobody was mad. Okay. Really, honestly, nobody was mad. It was just kind of those way she goes kind of games. The Oilers played really well. They had all the chances they need. Probably deserved a better outcome, but ultimately, again, you got to tip your cap to a goaltender sometimes. Kemper, like Koskinen, both goalies played really, really, really well, and it took until the shootout to get the job done. And once it gets there, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? So I think that everybody was pretty casual and calm about it. In fact, people were getting more annoyed by me talking about how I was watching F1 during the Beatcast than they were about anything Oilers related. That's pretty funny. Hey, I'm a big F1 guy now.
That buddy, it's so funny. I had a gathering on Friday night, and what do you think we turned on? Super late night, the F1 qualifying. Everybody's into it now. And then, all my messages were what a night in sports. Usually it's hey, we got a Leafs game and then a Oilers game and, a UFC fight. But it was Oilers game, F1 race, can't be better than this.
It was.
When has anybody ever cared about this? It goes to show you the power of storytelling, man. The power of storytelling. Everybody cares about F1 now. And I met some people who I'm I want to always preference it with I'd never cared about F1 before this, so I'm not a hardo here. But I do care now because of how well that thing did this, at telling the stories of the drivers and just making me interested. And I have way too many people that say to me, "Oh, I was a pretty big fan 8 years ago." So no, you weren't. No, you weren't.
I've been a big fan since literally last weekend. And
exactly.
Jay has been telling me to watch that show for a month now. So I'm finally, I'll watch it. I crushed 2 seasons in a week more or less. And then I watched the race on Saturday night, and it was funny because I'm still not done Chalmers. I'm just starting season 3. So when I was watching the race on Saturday night, I'm like, whoa, he drives for that. How many people are exactly. So now I got to catch up with how everybody's moving around a whole bunch of times.
So that was I thought we talked about it on this podcast, but like I couldn't watch a live qualifying. I couldn't even look at like the standings or anything that had happened in the last 2 years, because then I would know what stories were going to happen, where the drivers were going, who was getting promoted to this car and who was taking it. I didn't want to ruin it. But
so we had that discussion on Friday. So we went for beers after work on Friday. It was Jay, myself, Tyler, he bounced early, and then Liam, who's also a big F1 guy. And they were just like, are you going to watch the race on Saturday night, or are you going to wait for to finish the series and catch up before you jump in? And then I was just like, it's a perfect time for a race. The Oilers game ends. I'm going to finish doing my thing. And then the race is going to start. So I'm just going to jump in, and then I'm going to follow the other 2 seasons I've missed to see how we've gotten to the point where we're at. And there's a lot of movement from the end of season 1 to the race, or season 2, I should say, to the race I watched on Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody got to where they are now.
No, it's true. And what it makes you realize though, too, is you think like a car is a car, right? And really, the drivers shouldn't matter. They're all kind of high level athletes in that sport. But when you can see a driver go from one of the race teams, which has like the bottom of the barrel race cars, and then goes to a top tier race team, how that person all of a sudden becomes like a contender for the world champion. And it's crazy to think that when you look at the lap times, we're talking about like tenths of a second here between laps, and like 1 second in that is the difference between you being Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, and the king of the sport, or being like
Williams,
Haas and Williams, who are just the laughing stock. 1 second, the cars are not that different, right? Like it's insane how small the space is between the top and the bottom.
Tyler, that's why I was just like, I said this to Tyler on Friday. I'm just, for a guy that loves sports as much as he does, I'm surprised you haven't jumped in on this series yet, because it is so well done.
I'm just worried that I don't have time to fall in love with another sport, if I'm being totally honest with you. Like, baseball takes up 20 hours a week of my life. Hockey takes up an absurd amount of hours of my week. Like when football gets like when all that, like I honestly feel like if I get too into it, it will be bad for me, because I don't know if I can handle another sport.
But I think you need a sport where you can just casually enjoy it.
And I do, like, yeah. And that's a good point. I think that's part of the reason why I love like football as much as I do, is because like I don't have any football work to do. I just sit and I just love my Buffalo Bills, and I don't even like fully understand the sport as much as like a lifer would or anything like that. So maybe that is why something like F1 would be good for me, where I can just like sit down and actually enjoy it and not have to like break.
Yeah. You don't have to become a hardo about it. Like I grappled with like, if I really like this series and then I start watching F1 races, am I going to come across as the guy who likes soccer because I'm sophisticated and I like something that people don't? And the fact is I kind of put it into perspective with like, you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. Like, I never, ever thought to watch F1 racing. When they used to have the races here in Edmonton, we used to go to it all the time. I thought it was a fantastic way to spend a weekend and I loved it, but it never got me into F1. And it wasn't until I was told the stories that it's like, I dare you to try to watch Drive to Survive and not in some small way become somebody who follows F1.
That's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's impossible because the stories are so well told. And I swear to God, if they had a High Alive documentary, I'd probably become a fan of High Alive or like rugby. You just don't know what you don't know. And so that's, if anybody says, oh, you just like it because of the show, I'll go, yeah, I do, because they sold me. And
that's exactly why I like it. I like it because of the show. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't have given I would have never imagined watching an F1 race in its entirety until I watched the first 2 seasons of this show, because the way they put the drama together, the team principles are hilarious. The beef between the drivers is funny. The team versus team thing is funny. I had no idea that money mattered so much in that sport, where it's like the bougie teams like the Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, they are just so far ahead of everybody else that the rest of the pack is almost what's more interesting. And then in a span of 2 weeks, Tyler, I go from not knowing a lick to winning my first F1 bet on Saturday. all of a sudden I have a good time.
I love that.
Yeah, that show does not work if the team principals aren't larger than life characters. Like that Total Wolf is absolutely one of my favorite people I've ever seen in my life. Like he is the team principal for Mercedes, and the way that him and the team principal Christian Horner from Red Bull just act towards each other, and then and they're so typical. The Ferrari guy's name is like, pizza spaghetti. I don't even know what his name is, Antonio Ferrari, but this guy is your such stereotypical Italian guy. Of course, the Mercedes guy, completely stereotypical, like German guy. And then of course, Red Bull's like out of England. McLaren's guy, he's kind of like, seems like he's kind of an American guy, but he's still like a great character. I don't know. They did an amazing job. And what golf is about to have this one. And if golf can do half, of what the F1 just did, the PGA is about to get itself quite the spike.
And that's what I mean. Like, that's why I think, Tyler, I'm sort of really surprised you haven't watched it yet, because I think you'll love it.
Yeah, and I should get into it. I am very excited for the PGA one, though. Like, I'm a big golf guy already.
See, I don't care about golf either, but I guarantee if they do a good job on this golf one, that I will be right in there, because it's the stories, it's the players, it's the personalities that sell this shit. And they did a really good job on the F1 show. So if the golf one's in, I'm going to be losing weekends of my life watching golf.
Well, speaking of golf, then did anybody lose this weekend of their life by watching Masters 24/7 and on Thursday and Friday?
I didn't stop watching it all. Like I saw, I love the Masters app, right? Because you can set the My Group thing and you can favorite all the guys you want to watch. So I had the group of 9 guys that I bet on to start the tournament, and then probably 2 or 3 others that I knew I had in DraftKings lineups. And I set them on my Group. I wouldn't have missed a shot of any of the golfers that I did. I either went back and rewatched them all, or I watched them all as they showed up on the app. I love the Masters, and I was dialed into it this weekend.
Yeah, I was too. TSN did a great job because they, there wasn't just one feed. It wasn't just live from the Masters. On day one, it was TSN 1 had feature groups. TSN 2 was just from 15 and 16. TSN 3 was a live look around at everybody. They spread out their coverage, and I had to, it was appointment viewing being there for Tiger Woods' first tee shot.
Yep.
I just had to be live. I had to be watching it. I wasn't able to watch it all live. I did record it, but then watch it later. But it was like, this is going to sound really weird, but it was a weirdly emotional thing to watch him just kind of like tee off and be back, and just to know that, and just I guess the anticipation of what you were going to get from him. And then just knowing that I was hoping for it to go really well for him, to watch him, he played great for how he was going to play, like for the condition that he was most likely in. And there was there was times where he grabbed his back after a first shot on like the 4th hole, and you're going, God, no, please don't tell me like he's going to pull out of the tournament or something just because he's just not ready. Right. And so it was weirdly emotional to see him do really well. And then, you get Friday Tiger, and he makes the cut. He's not outstanding, but then you get Saturday and you're just glad he's there. And now you don't really, and it's funny, the perception of him is, oh, he's shit in the bed. And the fact is he was tied with like guys who were ranked in the top 10, guys who were ranked in the top 20.
There were guys in the top 20 that didn't make the cut, and those guys have played professional golf in the last 14 months. Exactly.
And so it's just what people expect, the expectation from him, right? I thought that that was a little bit unfair for him. Regardless of how he finished, I just knew that I was going to be super pumped to have him back, and hopefully he finished it healthy and he could, pick and choose the 8 to 10 tournaments he wants to play in this year, and hopefully all of the majors. And I think we got that. But yeah, I was really looking on Twitter, and you're just seeing like, oh, he's not performing. He's just a shell of himself. Of course he is. Of course he is. Like, this is not news. And he's beating, really like guys who are fucking legit practicing and young and playing every weekend. So I thought it was nice to see.
So that's what I was wondering actually, as you were talking, Charles. This was the first tournament he's played since his accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, like at a course where, it's funny because his win at the Masters, the last win at the Masters was like a comeback story for the ages.
Unreal.
Right? To be in a position where you could have like another comeback story for the ages, just like a mere 3 years later, it's incredible. And it's, no better place to have it than at the Masters. But, yeah, it was fantastic. What's up, your Chuck?
I have a mini rant about Tiger. Okay.
Yes.
So I love Tiger. I think the people who shit on him do not even come close to understanding his significance to the sport and making the sport as popular as it is today. I think the people who just constantly go on Twitter and are like, shut up about Tiger, blah, blah, blah. You hate fun. Like, just enough of that. But my one beef with one thing that happened this weekend, he was clearly out of it going into Saturday. And when I watched TSN for an hour when I woke up, they kept flashing up countdown to Tiger's tee off. And like they would have this graphic come up and all this shit. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I went an hour watching and they didn't mention on TSN, the Canadian feed, they didn't mention Cory Connors once. And I have a big problem with that from a TSN perspective, from a Canadian golf fan perspective. If you're not, oh yeah, what's the question?
Who's Cory Connors?
He's a Canadian. Okay. The best Canadian on tour. He's come top 10 in back-to-back Masters, I believe. And he was right in the hunt on Saturday again.
And he's been playing really well lately. There was a lot of talk that he was coming into this Masters, probably playing the best golf of his career, and that he would be in contention. And he was.
And it just drove me nuts. Again, TSN does such a good job covering the Masters with all their different angles. But when I watched for an hour and I had to keep seeing the countdown to Tiger's tee off, 45 minutes or whatever it was. And then I didn't get to hear about Cory Connors once. I didn't get to see Cory Connors out on the practice range very much. It drove me a little nuts being like, I get it. Let's give Tiger all the love you want. But why are we not trying to promote our boy? Like, Cory Connors played so well. He was really fun to watch. And I get that maybe it didn't go the way he wanted at the end, but he finished tied for 6th at Augusta. It's unreal. Anyways, that's my rant. And I don't like the people who constantly just like, oh, too much attention for Tiger, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like there's a reason that the networks do it. I just would have liked to see a little bit more love for Cory Connors.
Do they have like an NFL red zone type thing for the Masters?
That's what kind of the My Group thing is when you watch on the app, was just like you can just skip through and watch every shot. They show you every great shot, every shot from the leaders, and then the shots from your favorites.
It's interesting how just watching TV has changed so much in the sense that they're like, no, I want to watch my own guys, not the fucking guys you put on TV anymore.
So I have one other Masters thing that I want to talk about. So my girlfriend loves golf, watches it every weekend. I'll come home sometimes, I always say, and she's watching the Corn Ferry Tour just because she likes watching the shots and all that. So it was her birthday a couple weeks ago. I got her other things for her birthday, but I also loaded up her DraftKings account. And I was like, hey, here's a little bit of money for you to play some golf Masters this weekend. And like, it's on me kind of thing. So she entered, she doesn't like betting big or anything. So she had $18 in contests. She did $3 lineups and she did six of them. She ended up having a lineup that was Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, Cory Connors, Lee Westwood, and Sepp Straka. It won her, that $3 lineup won her $1,000 US.
Get out.
Come on.
That's No, that's what that photo you sent me last night.
Yeah. So she was just like, we were watching that last round, and if she would have gotten one more birdie from Scotty Scheffler, she would have won the big prize, which was $3,000 US in that contest. So she was one birdie away from doing that. Or if he would have had one less stroke in the third round, she would have also nailed it. But yeah, she was freaking out watching it down the stretch because she was so excited. I was excited for her. Like, I've never won that much money on DFS. So for her to do it was unreal.
That's a hell of a return.
That's incredible. And going into this Masters, like I do a lot of betting when it comes to golf, and the fact that you kick yourself that you didn't take the number one golfer in the world playing the best golf. He's won 4 now of 6 tournaments this year that he's played in. It's unbelievable the run that this guy's on, but the fact that he was winning though, it kind of made for not that much of an exciting Sunday. I'm not going to lie. The stories that I liked around the Sunday that were exciting were not to do with Scotty Scheffler, shooting a -1 to basically win it, when he was leading after Saturday. But did you know that Rory McIlroy shot a 64 on Sunday to tie the lowest final score of a Masters and come in second? That's amazing. He started the day at +1 and ended it at -7 to come in second.
It was quite the run.
That was the story of the day, the chipping, and then holding out a bunker shot on 18 and just how jacked he was. And then Colin Morikawa to do it right after him. That was the stuff that was exciting. Unfortunately, Scotty Scheffler's like white wonder toast, he's a white wonder bread. He just doesn't really, there's not a lot there, right? Like it's good. Sure, but
he's just a great golfer. Like that's all he is, right? And he's so young. Like this guy could dominate the sport for a decade. I mean, he could also be like Jason Day, who just has like a really good career or whatever. But like Scotty Scheffler very well could be like the next superstar.
Why does he look like he's 40? Like, what the hell is going on with him? 25 years old guy looks like he's 40.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
It was weird. But he's dominating. You're right. You sit down and you could have gotten him at like 10-1 to start the tournament. And it's like, boy, why did I overlook Scotty Scheffler exactly?
Yeah. And, I think it's doubly as, hurtful when you're the biggest Cam Smith fan, as I've talked about on this podcast before. I love the guy. I love his personality. I love everything about him. And watching him struggle yesterday was one of the harder things I've had to watch in golf because he just let that thing slip right away from him. He's usually a killer in the fourth round and he's played great all week other than his 74 round, his second round score of 74 was not great. But he was still in contention, when it came to Sunday. And man, he played bad and it was tough to watch. Felt bad for that guy.
Mm-hmm. Moving off the Masters talk, let's give some love to our friends at Twig and Berries. twigandberries.ca, promo code NATION15 gets 15% off so you can up your wardrobe before the summer. Okay, I was hoping that Jay would hop on for 10 minutes, even though he told me he likely wouldn't be able to do the podcast today. So I didn't want it to feel like we were burying any sort of lead.
Did we try to get a hold of him to tell him to do this right now?
Do you want to text him and see if he has 5 minutes to hop on?
I'll text him right now.
Okay, you text him right now. And then instead of doing that, I know we talked Oilers off the jump. We talked Masters. How about the Blue Jays opening weekend, Bag Milk?
You know what? I had a good time with it and I watched all 3 games. Yesterday wasn't nearly as fun, but game 1, the opener.
Oh my God.
That was fucking exciting because what'd they go down? 6 runs, 7 runs?
Yeah, they were down 7 to
come back and win, just swinging big bats. And, I had Tyler, I know you had a really good betting day. I had a decent betting day. Game 2, I won some money as well. So it's been fun to watch the Jays. They're swinging. They look, and the thing that I noticed first of all, because I'm Chalmers, I don't know if you know this year, but I'm going to be a Jays blogger for Jays Nation. The thing I noticed is how much fun it looks like they're having already.
This team has a lot of fun. Like they know they're good.
And Chapman hits his first home run yesterday, and the dugout went bananas for him. It was just, they look like they're having so much fun. They look like they're such a tight knit group, and it's going to be fun to watch them play the remaining 2,500 games they have left this season.
Only 159 more till we get to the playoffs.
I really hope that they can get some fucking defense though, like 10-8, 12-6, like 4. I know the second game was 4-3. I don't know what's going on. What's the deal with the pitching
yesterday, Tyler, or so far? Is that just early season this is kind of what happens, or what's going on here?
Yeah, a lot of people are blaming it on the fact that it was a shortened spring training and it takes pitchers longer to get going than hitters. So the hitters are feeling a little bit more fresh and the pitchers are just struggling along a little bit. Like there was a handful of like ace quality pitchers who got lit up in their first start. So a lot of people are saying it's just an early season thing. The Jays starters were not as good as advertised. Their bullpen held them in it in game 1, but wasn't great in games 2 and 3. But the guy who was good was Jordan Romano, the Canadian from Markham. He's sick. And when they do that thing with their new video board, when he comes into the game and everything goes dark and then they just do the red maple leafs and he's coming out of the bullpen, that is like legendary stuff. I think it's so cool, but they're going to be fine.
The upgrades at the old Sky Dome. Or what is it called these days? Rogers Center.
When they hit a home run and they do the thing with the lights where they like turn them off and flicker them. I think that's so cool. And like, can you imagine being a pitcher on the other team and like the Jays just took you yard again and you're sitting there as the lights fucking flicker and the crowd's going nuts and you're like, are you kidding me right now?
The vibes at the old ballpark looked a lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah.
So Bag Milk, I know that you said you're going to be a blogger for Jays Nation, but so in the past, your level of, I guess, paying attention to the Blue Jays out of a year was what out of 10?
I'd watched about 60 games last year, and they came all within probably the last 3 months of the year, 3.5 months of the year. So as they were kind of making their push. So watching them do that down the stretch last year, and then ultimately they missed out by a couple of games. That kind of got me really excited and interested to watch it more this year. And then I was talking to Coombsy, who is the editor over at Blue Jays Nation. I was like, would there be some space here just for like a very casual fan voice when it comes to baseball? Because like it's fun to watch, but I'm not going to pretend I know the X's and O's of baseball as much as other people do. But it's just fun to watch. I bought myself a couple of jerseys last week.
I love that.
Bo Bichette came through with a big home run for me in game 2. So I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, I watched about 60 games last year. I've already got 3 in the books this year. So game coming up at 5:00 today. I'm in for round 4. I'm ready to go.
5:00 today, starting the first series with the Yankees. It should be a good one.
What are we looking at for the Yankees here, Tyler?
They will either score 30 runs in this series or they will score 7. Like they're just going to be a very hot and cold offense this year. They strike out a ton. Josh Donaldson struck out 6 times in 15 at bats, but they also have guys who hit 2 home runs in that opening series. So they are high power, but they're also going to be high strikeouts. So that leads to them being incredibly volatile in short samples. Their pitching is below average compared to the rest of the division, in my opinion, when Garrett Cole isn't on the bump. So the winnable games for Toronto is what I'd say here.
Somebody with more knowledge than I about the Blue Jays this season. What's the jacket? The home run jacket?
So they did it last year, and that was like their home run celebration. A handful of teams around the league do something somewhat like this. San Diego's got a big home run chain and stuff like that. Just a way for them to have fun. When you hit a home run, you get the jacket on, and it's a blue like suit coat. And on the back is a patch of every country where someone on the team is from. So if there's a player on the team from a certain country, they get that patch on the jersey. So it's like their jacket of unity.
I like it. It's just like when I watch baseball, the first thing that I think about is how much fun it would be to be a baseball player. Cause it just seems like those guys are fucking around in the dugout all the time. Like later in the year when it's dog days of summer and guys are putting, gum and shit on each other's heads and lighting shoes on fire. Like I love that stuff.
Oh, it's the all-time hangout sport with your teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a baseball guy, Chalmers, or no?
Oh yeah. I love baseball, but I do not. I used to play fantasy baseball and it was just too much, like even the weekly leagues where you set your lineup on a Sunday for the Monday and, you don't have to really do much of it through the week. I would follow it casually, but to sit down and watch Blue Jays games, I just simply with my kids' sports and stuff, I don't have that much time. So we watch a lot of Jays in 30. We keep up with a lot of the stats, watching the highlights. We're a highlight family as of right now, but yeah, we're just starting my son's baseball season right now, and we are the Blue Jays as well. So, we're full of gear, but we don't have as much time to spend watching that as we possibly could. But yeah, big baseball family because we all play. My sons play it and I coach it, so. That's about the gist of it.
I'm really hoping this nation vacation to Toronto in August comes together because I've never been to an MLB game and I'd love to go. I think it'd be fun.
Oh, it is a riot. And there's a section, there's a really good section at Rogers where it's like $2 hot dogs and $2 Coors Lights. But you have to pay a little bit more of a ticket price. It's I guess it would be in left field. And that's where we sat with my family, and like right over the ledge is the bullpen for the other team. So it's atmosphere over there. And if a guy pulls a home run, it's most likely coming to you. So yeah, it's a great place to sit. That should be the place where we look for tickets.
See, Tyler, you could pick up F1 as another casual sport. I picked up both baseball and F1 this year. I've got 1 year loading up on casual sports here.
Fair enough.
Okay. So the message I just got back from JR was, we are in the process of being discharged. So let's spoil it.
There you go.
Our fearless leader and our CEO, Jay Downton, welcomed a beautiful baby girl to the world on the weekend.
Now, since we are a betting podcast, you knew we were putting some bets down on this. You knew we would.
You knew it.
And drum roll, I was out early. I was out way early. I was on April 3rd. Yes. Jay Downton, he was expecting March 31st.
He was hopeful for March 31st.
Yeah, because then he could have gone to maybe could have gone the pass to go to Nashville with the boys this week. Tyler, you were April 22nd. You were late. Wanye was April 15th, late. The winner of the real life baby pool Christopher Chalmers, April 10th.
April 10th. Dead nailed the date. And the time I said was
12:22 p.m.
I will tell you when I got my message from him. I got a message from him at 1:34 p.m.
So you must have been right in the mix.
Right in the mix. I don't know what time because he's obviously been busy. I don't want to bug him with all the particulars. We do, however, know that he had a 7-pound baby girl named Crawford Jones Downton and that she is healthy. Mom is healthy. Mom did great. Apparently it all went very, very smooth. And JR's on cloud 9 and he's about to leave the hospital right now. Basically, from what it's such a trip because what I remember is like you're sitting in that hospital room for one day. You have all these nurses coming to give you a hand. They basically say, okay, the ears are working, the eyes are working, it's pooped, it's coughed. Here's your baby, get the fuck out of here and good luck. And you're like, what? Wait a minute.
So
that's what I was going to ask you, Chalmers. So Jay's being discharged now. What is this drive home from the hospital like? The
whole world looks different, man. And I know that I'm being like hyperbolic here, but it is so true. Anybody that's done it, you drive out of there. It feels like you're on a vacation because time does not matter. It doesn't matter if it's noon. It doesn't matter if it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just a period of time in the day. Nothing else matters. You have no other obligations. It feels different. You're driving out of there and life has changed, in the biggest way it possibly can. And you are now mad at every other driver on the road for going 1 kilometer over. And if they change lanes without signaling, you want to kill them. And you just want to get home as fast as fucking possible because driving is so stressful. It goes away, but it's the very first time. Mm-hmm. It never feels like that again. Even 2 days later, if you decide you're going to leave and go to the grandparents and like hang out, or you're going to take the baby out, like some people like to stay home for maybe a week or two. I mean, we were pretty quick to get out of the house. It doesn't feel like that ever again, right? It's just, it kind of goes away. But that first time pulling out of the hospital, you are like, it's like the first time you've ever driven. You're scared. You're like legit nervous.
That's what I was wondering.
Oh, it's true. It's true. And anybody that says it isn't, I don't know. I want to find out from them why. But I know for everybody I've ever talked to, because it's just one of those things. It's crazy. It's a crazy feeling. So JR's got one hell of a week coming up because nothing is ever going to be the same in that house. So
if you're out and about here in Edmonton and you see the Nation truck crawling, there's a fresh baby on board.
So he sent me a picture of baby Crawford. And if I zoom in, there is the time of birth. April 10th, 2022 at 11:40.
Oh, Chalmers, you were right there.
Right there.
What? Okay, say that again.
11:40.
11:40. My God, I was like 42 minutes away.
You were right there.
That's an impressive prediction.
That is
okay, but
prediction.
let's not just sit here and grandstand. I also said it was going to be a boy, and it was a girl.
Hey, that's a coin flip.
Truth be told, this is an embarrassing moment between me and JR, but when he just sent me a picture of the baby and the name Crawford Jones Downton, and my message to him was, fucking rights, you got yourself your boy, let's go. And then he's like, no, it's a girl. And I was like, of course it is. My bad. Shit. But that is hey, anyways, CJ Crawford
nailed it.
Crawford, I nailed it. I agree.
Did we die here? Am I frozen?
No, you're frozen. I can still hear you though. You were talking about how Jay wanted to get on the nation vacation in Nashville potentially. It's obviously not happening for him. But I got my COVID test back and I'm negative, which is huge. And I'm ready to go. So tomorrow I will be leaving with the crew and we are going to Nashville. Shout out to New West Travel for putting this all together for us. We got a plane with Oilers fans. It's going to be a ton of fun going out on this trip. And I'm just super jazzed. Like have you ever been to Nashville, Charles?
I have never been. And I've had 2 trips in the past 2 years to Nashville that were canceled due to circumstances out of my control. So it's upsetting to say the least. But so you guys are obviously leaving tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yep.
You spend the day Wednesday, hockey game Thursday, and then home Friday.
No, so we get there tomorrow in the afternoon. We have a watch party that evening at a bar by our hotel where the bar
game. Yeah.
The bar has promised us drink specials, food specials, and that they will have the Oilers game on for us. And then Wednesday is a free day in Nashville where we're just cruising around. I think I'm going to do Tyler Tries a Hot Chicken Sandwich and put that out there for some content. Thursday is game day. For the Edmonton Oilers. So obviously we're going. Friday's another free day, and then we fly back Saturday. So it's a long nation. This is definitely the longest nation vacation ever.
So
you guys are flying during the Golden Knights Oilers game, which is a 2 p.m. start on Saturday. Huh?
Well, so our itinerary, assuming the itinerary I was sent was correct, was Saturday, April 16th. We actually don't fly out until 8:30 at night.
Ooh,
so we
also watch party.
Yeah, we also have all day Saturday to watch Oilers Golden Knights. So unless this thing is off by a day, but I don't think it is. Again, I'm going on the trip and I don't really know. But yeah, it's going to be a long one. I was looking because the weather there is going to be pretty good. Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to rain. But Thursday, Friday, even Saturday are all going to be nice. So I'm debating if I want to try golf while I'm down there and sneak away from the group and go play 18 at some course and rent clubs and stuff. But it's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have a good time in Nashville.
How many people are on the confirmed sheet going?
From the company or just people?
No, from in total. How many people was the nation vacation?
I think it's around 30. I think that's the number.
Like that.
Yeah. So it should be good. From the company, it's myself, Waz, Kennedy, Rick, Jared, and Dan. So we got a nice solid crew going out. I need to, when we're done this podcast, I start packing up gear so that I can record podcasts while I'm down there and do daily shows and all that stuff. But it'll be nice, warm weather, all that stuff, hockey in a different city. That's fun.
I'm jealous. I'm sad I'm not going.
I know. I'm sad.
You guys are going to have a great time and you guys are going to make a lot of content. It was just a weird timing on this one that I couldn't make it, but I'll be back. I'll be back for the next one.
Next one could potentially be Toronto this summer. After that, I think we're definitely doing Vegas next year, right? There's no way we 100%. Don't do a Vegas. And I would imagine this Nashville one is fun, and I would imagine it is, we're probably doing another Nashville next year. So it'll be good when things get more opened up as well, for us to really go crazy next year.
Yeah, this one was especially a bummer because I was bugging Jay to go to Nashville for 2 years. Now I'm not even on the
now you don't even get to go.
Way she goes. Somebody's got to man the fort, Chalmers,
I understand.
These fucking kids going to party. I'm just jealous, Tyler. It's true.
I know. It'll be a good time here and a big set of points.
I want to tell you about something that we did this weekend, which was pretty sick. So I've told you that my younger son is on a spring hockey team that's quite intense, 4 times a week, but they play 3 tournaments during the year. And one of the tournaments was this weekend, and it was held, and another tournament is going to be held at the same spot, but just our 2 games on Sunday were played at West Edmonton Mall. Ooh. And that was a lot of fun. So the very first game was at 8 a.m. So we got to be there at 7. So you're rolling into the mall. Everything's dark except the music's on. It's the only thing lit up is the ice rink. Just a super cool feeling walking in there, going down into the basement. Kids get ready, they come out and play. And as they're playing, stores are starting to open up and people are starting to gather. But still, it's a really, double-decker arena. You could just think there's a Tim Hortons up there and people are stopping to watch. So they loved it. But the second game was at 4:30 on Sunday in the middle, basically, of when the mall is as busy as it ever is. It was incredible. The amount of people that stopped to just watch the game. At one point, I looked up around the whole perimeter of the upper floor, and there was no elbow room. There were just people watching this game, a bunch of 9-year-olds, and it was intense. It went 5-4. They scored with 1.4 seconds left to tie the game, and then we just because we there's another ice time scheduled and we'd already gone long. We did not have time to play OT. So we just ended in a tie, which was, it's kind of a precursor to the tournament that's really important. That's coming up in a week. But man, these 9-year-olds, they got to feel what it felt like to play in a building where legit people were cheering up on the top rows that had no investment in the team. It was a really, really cool experience for them. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I think that's always cool when kids get to play there. It's just such a weird, cool spot to play. And like you said, you got people hanging out at the ice level, watching around or upstairs, downstairs. It's a good vibe. I like that.
Yeah, it is a good vibe. And so like the tournament that they're going to be playing in at the mall, just trying to look to see what it is, but I think it's called the Crusher Cup or something. I don't know. Stay tuned. I will tell people, because if you're hopping by the mall on that weekend, you watch some pretty good 9-year-old hockey, and just it's so much fun. Like it's pretty intense, and the kids absolutely love it. So
I thought about you yesterday, Chalmers, because I got my first Slurpee of the season in me yesterday.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Have you been going to, so where'd you get it from?
Our spot.
Okay. So did you get the cup?
No, I didn't get no.
So right now they have these NHL cups, and they did them last year, and they're basically just like, they're just like memorable, like they're plastic cups. They're cups you keep. And me and my kids have so many of these cups now. It is ridiculous, but they're very cool. They have all the NHL logos on them, Western Conference and stuff. And so, yeah, we've been getting lots of Slurpees. But our spot, good flavors still, all of them
Lots
running.
of good flavors in there. Always good. Nice selection. Glad you told me about it. It's been an upgrade to where I used to go.
Yep.
And I feel like it's very important that they maintain, because we're heading into the season.
It is. Well, that's good stuff.
My guy, though, last night, he did not have any mediums out. So I had to size up, even though that wasn't what I was prepared for. So I was on a massive sugar high. If you remember this a couple of months ago, a large Slurpee has got a lot of sugar in it.
Well, that's why there was no mediums, because their mediums are those cups. They must have been sold out.
Yeah, sold out.
Oh boy.
Away she goes.
Away she goes.
But I'm in. Slurpee season.
Oh my God.
You got any ball tournaments this year, Chalmers? You going anywhere cool for baseball?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. There's like 3. There's the old Doc Plotsky, which we always, which we're going to be going to. We don't have our schedule out quite yet. We're still practicing in the gym right now. We practice over at FX School, which has the 3 gyms in it. One of them has a batting cage that drops down, and we just do, some drills on the hardwood floor there. Still can work on your grounders, still can work on your throws to first, a lot of technical stuff that we're working on. The diamonds aren't quite ready yet. It is too cold. They're not letting us go. We were supposed to have our clean up the diamond day this weekend over at Collingwood, where we all take rakes and garbage bags. So we don't have our schedule out yet, but yeah, we're going to have the 3 tournaments and then provincials. And then, it's a matter of any other tournament we're going to go to. I mean, I'm sure we'll be back in Okotoks again, but yeah, there's going to be some good ones. I'm really, really looking forward to this season. We have a killer squad this year. Like I can tell just from the first couple practices that these kids are grounding and throwing in mid-season form right now. I'm very excited for how they're going to perform, because, there's a tight knit group there, and they're all performing at a very high level already. So that's good.
Love it. I
love it too. It's my favorite. I cannot talk to people about baseball enough, and like just coaching and just like being out there on Monday and Wednesday nights, just under the sun with a pocket full of spits, just watching these, they're not intense practices. They're just grounding and hitting. And
what's your spit
seasoned?
flavor?
I'm a seasoned man. And
me too.
It's hard to find those things right now. Yeah. Like, I don't know. So I researched it the other day. I was like, why can't I find seasoned spits anywhere? So I Googled seasoned spits shortage. And it turns out that like a year and a half ago, the Spitz plant in Alberta closed down, and they're producing them somewhere else now. And that is causing us to not have enough. Yeah. So I eat bags of these things. And so it was,
Tyler, have you noticed this same effect with your pumpkin seeds?
Actually, yeah. The last 2 times I've gone to the gas station, I've been like, I'm going to run and grab some pumpkin seeds, and they haven't had any. So it's affecting that too.
We have got a seed shortage. This is not good.
No, not going into summer. And with this weather, I need to know that my summer's not going to get messed up by seed shortages.
Yeah.
Bad weather. I'm sick of this. I walked out of my house today and I was legitimately freezing. I was so depressed.
I took my dog out this morning, and it was like a slap to the face, because I went out with a t-shirt on. I wasn't prepared for -9 or whatever it was. It's rude.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
It's rude, Tyler.
Yeah. Not good. It sucks when you get the teaser as well. Like, it was so nice for a few days last week, and then it's going to go back to shit. Sucks.
I'm over it.
All right. We're going to work towards wrapping this bad boy up. Big week of Oilers games. I'll be live in Nashville for the episode on Thursday, and then we'll have ONR live from Nashville as well. 2 pregame shows, I believe, both going to be from Nashville too. So a ton of really, really cool Nashville content coming up.
I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I am. I got to admit it. Now that the trip's coming this week, I'm feeling hurt.
I before we go, first off, got to give some love to the DoorDash promo code. Promo code RundownDD gets you 25% off, no delivery fees, courtesy of our friends at DoorDash. Ding dong. Use it to order Oodle Noodle. Why not? Also, PointsBet live in Ontario. So if you're in Ontario and you're listening to this podcast and you want to maybe throw some money on the Oilers, maybe you want to throw some money on Toronto Blue Jays to win and Alek Manoah to record 5+ strikeouts using their same game parlay builder, maybe head over to PointsBet Canada and check it out. Can't wait for them to be available in Alberta because that's going to be great. But yeah, there you go. I think that's going to be a wrap for our pod. Just the 3 of us today. It was nice.
It was. Congratulations to Chalmers on his big pool win. And congratulations to Jay for making that happen.
Yeah. Congratulations to Chalmers on the birth of Jay's child.
Thanks, Sarah. I cannot wait to see how he shows up for the pod on Thursday. If he's just like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Let me ask you that, Chalmers. How was this first couple of days? Like, I imagine a newborn baby sleeps like 6 minutes total. Yes.
It all depends. Yeah. It's not even 6 minutes. They'll sleep quite a bit, but it's not prolonged sleeps. Like it's these like 1.5 to 2 hour sleeps, then like a feeding, and then maybe like another 1.5 to 2 hours, and then like a changing. And that goes on all day for like the first month. So it's about balance. If they can come up with a nice system in the first week, then they should be able to figure it out. But that's what it is. The first couple of days, the first 3-4 days, it's about devising a system. It's about like literally writing down every time they wake up and what they wake up for, writing down, the exact time, how long they stay up. Because if you have that data after like 2-3 days, you can understand what's to come, because they just do the same shit for like the first, like I said, almost a month. Right. And so you'll know when, like, obviously for a feeding, JR is not going to be able to do anything for that. So there is 0 point to him getting up. When he hears that, like if he knows this is going to be a feeding one, don't get up. I know you think you're helping. You are not. You know what I mean? Do the changings, do the gas, do the things that aren't a feeding. Those are the things you can do. But if you think that you...
Let's innovate some kind of Meet the Parents style male feeder thing, like Robert De Niro had. Yeah. I think we can work this out. We've got the technology. Oh, by the way, Chalmers, before you continue on, we've also created more jobs for you at Nation HQ, right, Tyler?
What'd you guys do?
Oh, we need another TV mounted in the podcast studio.
Okay.
And so when we have this TV mounted, like right now, I have to look off to the side to see you guys. But once the TV's mounted, I can just look here and see you guys.
Well, so that was in the works. I mean, that had been there. That just wasn't, I don't think, priority.
No.
Level high. Let's put it that way.
No.
But it's priority level high now. So, okay, well, if JR
I thought that the lessons you taught Tyler when you hung on those other TVs meant that he was going to do it solo, but that was not the case. At least not this time.
That's wishful thinking, don't you think?
I would have liked to see it.
Yeah, I would have too.
Although it's not my walls, though, admittedly.
Well, let's put it this way. We'll try to get down there and do it as quick as possible. I'd like to come back in the studio, man. I don't like being away from you guys. I like doing it in there. It's more fun.
It is way more fun. I agree.
Yeah. But spring's busy. Construction sucks.
Fair enough.
Any just to wrap off before we end off, Tyler, any spring homekeeping tips, Chalmers, that we should be aware of as we go into spring?
No, I mean, right now it's mostly about, depending on the year of your house, making sure that your sump pump is functioning. We'll probably end up getting some April showers, which we always do. And you want to make sure that your sump pump is active and working so that you don't get yourself a little flood in the basement. Everybody should always be prepared the first time they use their hose bib in the spring to just make sure that they did not leave a hose on it or didn't know that they did, and maybe have a little rupture in their frost-free hose bib. So the very first time you run it, just maybe run it for 20 minutes and then go check the carpet in the basement underneath exactly where it is. That could be a telltale sign that you have a little rupture. Don't just go put the sprinkler on for the first time and then leave it and go to the Home Depot for soil for 2 hours. Because that could be a mess. The other things are just, if you are using your hoses right now, realize that it is still freezing at night. We are not out of it yet. So still be aware of that. Get them loosened, get them taken off of your hose bib to release the pressure. Other than that, for spring, I don't have much more stuff. I mean, change your furnace filters. That's a huge one. Change your furnace filters. Humidity is going to be going up. It's never usually that humid during the winter. It's very dry. You could probably turn the humidity in your house down a little bit, but you still want it to be around 30% for your hardwood and any other woods, and basically just for your good nose health, as we've discussed prior.
That's important.
Yeah. But this is the time when a lot of dust comes into your house. And even though you can't see it, it is getting sucked into your furnace, and it is creating a blockage in that furnace filter. And I know you're not going to be running your furnace as much in the next month or two as you have been in the month prior, but you still want to keep the furnace healthy. So changing out your filter is the least expensive, most effective way to, have it running properly.
There you go.
Yeah.
A couple of springtime tips for you, Tyler.
There you go. I'm not a homeowner yet, but
he's like, I don't give a shit.
No.
When I am a homeowner, I will pay more attention to that segment.
Yeah.
Or I will wish I paid more attention to it now. No, I got the gist of it. I was also just dealing with Nashville stuff. So, okay, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. Shout out to all of our sponsors: the HGA Group, DoorDash, Oodle Noodle, PointsBet Canada, and twigandberries.ca. Go Blue Jays. Big game, big series. Go Oilers. Big week for the Oilers. Because if you run through this week, you're getting real close to clinching up that playoff spot. So let's hope they can get that done. As always, we'll have you covered on Thursday. We'll break it all down. Congratulations to Jay Downton.
And Tyler, you got 2 weeks to watch some F1. No race this weekend. So next one's coming up on the 24th.
There you have it. That's going to do it for episode 368 of the Real Life Podcast. It was a big sports episode. Talk Thursday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Life Podcast. Don't want to miss any of our nonsense? Hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.